Welcome to the HEARTS Entwined podcast. In this podcast, we'll be having discussions around the secrets which attract lasting, healthy, fulfilling relationships, creating a healthy mindset, and what women should know and understand about men. Introducing your host, Lyn Smith, the Queen of Hearts, relationship expert, trainer, speaker, and best-selling author of the Cupid's Bow technique. Lyn's mission is to have a positive impact in reducing divorce, domestic violence, and suicide.
Welcome to the HEARTS Entwined podcast. This is your host, Lyn Smith, the Queen of Hearts, and I'm excited to say I've got a lovely gentleman here. His name is Jeff Abraham. He's doing such good work. He's the CEO of Promescent. Did I say that right, Jeff? Promescent?
Yeah, Promescent, absolutely, right on.
Yeah, which is a sexual wellness company, and he's all about helping people get the best out of their intimate health and gain confidence. So welcome, Jeff.
My pleasure to be here.
So tell me a little bit about how you got into doing what you're doing.
I tell people that I probably took the most circuitous route in the history of sexual wellness to become the CEO of a sexual wellness company. I ran a semiconductor engineering business and sold it and retired at age 53, 15 years ago. And you might say, how would that lead you from being a semiconductor engineering icon to becoming a sexual wellness CEO? It just so happened that my next door neighbor, who happened to be also my doctor and my friend, was a sexual wellness specialist. He was a urologist at Hoag Hospital in Newport Beach. And he is the gentleman who invented this product and then brought me aboard to help him be the business mind behind it. I was expecting that to be a 1 or 2 year tenure, and here we are 15 years later. The company's growing, our product line is expanding, and we're certainly doing very, very well. So it wasn't in my master plan. I was supposed to be retiring and enjoying life, and it just popped up. And sometimes something catches your imagination, tickles your fancy, and you go, let's run with this. And that's exactly what happened.
And you know what? It just made me smile when you said something popped up, because literally, one of your products is around erectile dysfunction. So that just tickled me as soon as you said that, because it sort of had that innuendo of...
With our company, there's not a conversation we can have without a double entendre or innuendo, or it's like, we need to keep thrusting, we need to keep the pedal to the metal, and we have the delay spray, you know what I mean, we need to be smoother, we have lubes, you know what I mean, so anything that we ever have a conversation about, it ties back to one of our products.
Absolutely, I love that. So in terms of I suppose from what I read about you, is that the main initial product you got involved with was to help men with erectile dysfunction. Is that right? Or
no,
is that
premature
ejaculation? Was it
premature ejaculation? Correct.
Right.
So
okay.
we felt that ED had many different this is Ron's thinking when he developed this product. So when men came to a urologist, if you had erectile dysfunction, there was Viagra, Cialis, Levitra, Trimix shots, Stendra, etc. If they came and they had prostate issues, there were many different solutions. If you had incontinence, many different things. If you had premature ejaculation, you weren't lasting long enough, they were like, well, here's your two options. You can numb yourself up to where you don't feel anything, your partner's numb. And I tell people, in that case, you might as well be taking a hot yoga class or taking spin class. Everybody's sweating, but nobody's climaxing. Not a good resolution to the issue. The other issue, or the other solution was SSRIs for people who aren't medically, don't have a medical background. That's short for selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor. And a lot of people go, well, I don't know what that is either. Those are the depression drugs, Paxil, Prozac, Zoloft. They allow you to last longer, but they have significant side effects. It included in those side effects nausea, dry mouth, vomiting, and loss of libido. So you literally lose your desire to even be intimate. So I tell people that's like putting out a candle with a fire hose. Okay, that's overkill. So there really weren't a lot of good solutions out there. So Ron said, I've got to figure out something that, we can help people. And he came up with Promescent, and it was a lidocaine-based spray. There had been lidocaine sprays out there, but they're the ones that numbed you and numbed your partner. What he did was he developed a eutectic formula that changed the crystalline structure of lidocaine. So instead of just sitting on the surface and numbing you and making your partner and transferring your partner, making them numb, it went subdermal. So it gave you the control without that numbness on the surface of your skin, and it didn't transfer to your partner. So it's patented. It's a revolutionary formula, and it's very, very solid.
Very, very solid. I like
Yeah.
that. Absolutely. So I mean, I get, with my audience that are predominantly women, and obviously they're the ones that are going to know whether their partner's got this premature ejaculation problem. So I think it is important that women get educated about this as well, and can share the information with their partners, because I don't know whether you get this as well, but I do feel that women are more open to sharing stuff than men. Usually men are a bit more embarrassed and a bit more, I suppose, ego driven, and don't like to admit if they've got an issue with that particular area of
Without
their life.
question. Absolutely, without question. Men don't like to talk about it. They don't like to discuss it. The male ego is very fragile, and it's very hard to bring this up. And you make a good point when you say, a lot of women are involved and they have an issue with it as well. I tell people this: if a man rapidly or prematurely ejaculates, he's still ejaculating. The female partner sitting on the other side of the bed say, "What about me? I'm here too." You know what I mean? Like, this is my issue. So it's a couple's issue, make no mistake about it, that needs to be addressed. But let's step out of the realm of premature ejaculation. Let's just talk about people, healthy people, not people who prematurely ejaculate in general. The average man during penetration and thrusting lasts 5 minutes and 42 seconds. The average female takes about 18 minutes of penetration and thrusting to climax. So there's actually a term that people have for it. It's the arousal gap. So even in healthy couples, their intimacy can be enhanced by having the man last longer.
Wow. And how much longer is the product good for? Does it actually bridge that whole gap?
Yeah, it depends on the person. And I tell people, like, if a person's only lasting a minute, you're not going to last 20 minutes, okay? It's dependent upon how long your IELT, which is short for interejaculatory latency time, that's how long you last to begin with. A man can go from 1 minute to 4 minutes or 5 minutes, which is huge if you're lasting 1 minute. A man who's lasting 6 minutes can go to 18 to 20 minutes. So it depends on how long you last prior, and it'll be a step function of that. You're not going to turn someone lasting 1 minute to 25 or 30 minutes. That's just not happening. But they will last long enough in a lot of cases to have satisfactory intimacy, especially if they have foreplay involved prior and bringing the woman closer to climax prior to intercourse. For a lot of men, it makes a big difference. I know a lot of men will tell us a lot of men have this. It's kind of that devil on one shoulder, angel on the other. And any man who tells you they've never experienced this is lying to you. Because of that arousal gap, because women take longer than men, almost every man who's ever been intimate with females will tell you that there's a point where you're very acutely aware if you feel the onset of ejaculation and you realize your partner's not there yet. And there's one part of you, there's that little devil on one shoulder going, "Oh, finish. This is going to feel so good. Oh my God, just give in, whatever." Then there's a little angel on the other shoulder going, "She's not done yet. Not yet." You know what I mean? And you're having this tug of war. On one hand, you want to experience this feeling of pleasure. And on the other hand, you're like, well, she needs to come first, that kind of a thing. So a lot of men will tell us that relieving that anxiety and having the equation become, do I want to give her 1 or 2 orgasms before I finish, as opposed to, can I last long enough? That they never want to go back to having that anxiety again. Anxiety and intimacy are 2 completely separate emotions, and they should never interact. Injecting anxiety into intimacy only makes it worse, not better, because you're uncomfortable, you're on edge, and you're not really feeling the intimacy. So that's 50-60% of our product sales are to people who don't have premature ejaculation, who just want better intimacy.
Absolutely. And I do think you're raising an important point there, where you know, you want to know that your partner is fully present and engaged in the act and not anxious.
Well, it's funny you'd mention that. I'm very interactive. We always reach out to a lot of our customers, and I'll send them emails, especially repeat customers, blah, 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 blah. And I remember early on, this must have been like 2014, 15 in that time frame. I talked to a couple and they had almost broken up. And it's hard to imagine. I'm a very open, communicative person. If there's issues in any relationship I'm in, we're going to discuss them. But the guy had premature ejaculation for quite a while, like years. And his partner, in fact, it was his wife. And it's so crazy that she thought that he wasn't really interested and that, you know, he had lost interest in the relationship. And it wasn't that at all. He was trying so hard not to ejaculate. He was not focusing on the intimacy. And I call it the layering effect. So he's over there like, oh God, I don't want to, really give into how good this feels. And he's becoming robotic during intimacy because he doesn't want to go over the edge and ejaculate. And she starts thinking, oh, he's not into this because he's not really emotional. She's not feeling that connection. So she starts withdrawing. And he found Promescent. He heard me on an Adam Carolla podcast, which is a podcaster here in this country, tried the product, and then he was totally different. And they started having these discussions. And it was like, oh my God, no, I was totally into it. But I was really just trying not to go over the edge. And it gave me a real insight. And it helped us kind of alter some of our marketing campaigns and stuff about how communication is probably the best tool in any lover's tool bag. Okay. Because no matter how good the physical aspect of intimacy is, if you're not communicating, things might not be as good for your partner as they might be, and vice versa. And that layering effect, I'm telling you, does happen, where the woman senses the man maybe not being engaged, not realizing he's not engaged because he's trying not to ejaculate, figuring he's not engaged because he's not into her. Then she starts withdrawing because she feels he's not into it. And it starts this whole vicious cycle, So I always tell people, communicate and talk to your lover. Make sure you're on the same page. And as a man, I can tell you this. Women, physicality wise and everything, are completely, each one is very unique. Some women will tell you, I only like to be touched very lightly around the clitoris and the labia. I'm very sensitive in that area. There are other women who will go, grab a cinder block, put sandpaper on it. You know what I mean? And, I take vigor. And as a man, you need to know and you need to understand that. So there's a lot of times in a relationship, it's very good, especially if you're a man, if you can early on in a relationship tell your partner, I'd love you to masturbate for me, because that's literally like giving you the keys to the safe. You know what I mean? If you can watch that, not only that, I'm a voyeur, so I enjoy it as well. You know what I mean? But at the same time, there's something about, instead of me fumbling around and learning over the next 2 months what you like, what you don't like, if you can just show me and tell me, why sit there, have to try to figure out the combination to a safe if someone can just give it to you? You can just spin it, open it up, and get the goods, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So, but in some cases, you have to build up a level of trust and a level of confidence, because a lot of people feel vulnerable, something like that. So they're not just right away go, oh yeah, sure, let me masturbate for you, that kind of a thing. But if you're open and your partner has a feeling that you're very accepting, and your partner has a feeling that you're not judgmental, then they might be very comfortable. And I think that would only enhance your intimacy.
Absolutely. 100% agree. And I feel that, unfortunately, a lot of people are brought up with shame around communicating their needs regarding sex, aren't they?
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, I run into people all the time. I remember one couple in particular, a woman had reached out to me on a podcast. And whenever I do podcasts that are interactive where they have call-ins, 50% of the people that call in are women. And almost 100% have the exact same question. we need this product in our relationship. How can I bring it up without hurting my husband's feelings? And I tell him the same thing. Set up a 50 Shades of Gray night, you know, get a riding crop and a feather duster and a blindfold and a bottle of Promescent. Because if you just go to your partner and you go, hey, you're not lasting long enough, and you're putting a bottle of Promescent in his face, it's almost making him defensive and being accusatory. You're much better off saying, we're going to have this fantasy night, and I just want it to last as long. It's that way. It's not personal. You're not attacking someone, and they're much more receptive to it. So I think that's very good. But it brings me back to one couple in particular I talked to. Well, one female. They had 2 children. They had been married 17 years. The guy never lasted more than a minute ever during intercourse, ever. And I'm like, well, what have you guys done? She goes, we haven't done anything. We've never talked about it. I go, you've been married for 17 years? You have 2 children? And she goes, no. And I was like, oh my God. It just showed me that, like you said, that there's still shame. There's still people uncomfortable. But how could you be married? And I'm like, that's never come up? No. And I worked with her to find her ways to get her husband to try the product. And she emailed me back and said, oh my God, this has really revolutionized our love life. You know what I mean? And blah, 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 blah. And I can't thank you enough. But it made me happy that we're able to help them. But it made me sad because I realized for every person that you find out that situation, there's thousands that aren't communicating and calling you, and you're not able to help. And the one thing I will say is there should never be any shame in seeking help. Because I ask people because sometimes there's these old wives' tales, and people think that premature ejaculation is because the man doesn't care, he's not mentally strong enough. That's all nonsense, okay? There are many physiological reasons why men prematurely or rapidly ejaculate. Hypersensitivity to the penile nerves, prostatitis, low testosterone. I could go on. There's many, many different reasons. And I will ask this question. If a man has diabetes, would he ever feel guilty about taking insulin? The answer is no. If a man has cancer, would he ever feel uncomfortable or shameful about using chemo? The answer is no. So if you rapidly or prematurely ejaculate, why should there be shame? The answer is there shouldn't be. You want to be the best you can be in every area of your life. Think about it. You see people go to the gym every day and work out and try to make their bodies as attractive as possible. You see people getting haircuts and hair colors and all these things, trying to be as physically, attractive as they can to the other person. You see them buying the latest clothes and wardrobes and eating right and all these things. Let's face it. No matter what people tell you, 90% of that is done to attract someone of the opposite sex, to make yourself. So why don't we spend as much time and energy keeping that person by having the best intimacy you can have as we do attracting that person?
Yes.
And the answer is we should absolutely do that. We should be just as concerned about maintaining and keeping the relationship as we are in acquiring the relationship.
Yeah, I absolutely understand exactly what you say, because I did have an ex-partner that did have this issue. But one thing that was great is that he compensated for that by the foreplay, because he made sure I had multiple orgasms before we even had intercourse, which was great.
Yeah, well, one of the things that I tell people all the time, you will laugh, is for men who have rapid or premature ejaculation, I always tell them, put one in the bank. And they go, what does that mean? I go, give your partner an orgasm even before you get down to intercourse. For this reason, number one, it takes the temperature down, so you're not as focused. And, oh my God, she didn't climax. There's already one in the bank. Number two, she's already pretty satisfied, having one in, already banked, so to speak. So you're exactly hitting on something that I truly believe as well, which is if you do have that anxiety, it will help you last longer because you're already not going, oh my God, is she going to have one? You already know that she's had a climax or an orgasm.
Yeah, 100%. And to be honest with you, we didn't ever have that conversation, but
You didn't have the conversation, it just happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. It just
Well, he
happened.
might have been very aware that he was prematurely ejaculating and goes, hey, and he might have been in the same mindset that I'm stating right now is already get one done. You know what I mean? So that
Mm,
you know, no matter what, your partner has had an orgasm.
yes. Yeah, he was a great lover in that respect. And I think he just thought that he wasn't because he didn't last very long
Yeah.
at the end of the day, which, wasn't the case. For
Well,
me,
I
I
will
was
throw out
satisfied.
another statistic what you might find interesting. 67% of women usually have difficulty orgasming during intercourse.
Yes, absolutely.
So anyone who would define good intimacy as both partners have to climax during intercourse is really missing the boat.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, I tell people we have a line of proprietary vibrators that are really they're very good, but they're very cost effective. Because a lot of times vibrator companies, they're you don't sell them on a monthly basis. Like the same customer's not going, hey, I'm going to buy this vibrator over and over again. So they have to have inflated prices because they have to market and then get you to buy it one time. We have really quality vibrators that are at a very reasonable price because it's not our core business. We have our other products people buy all the time. So we have really high quality vibrators at a very reasonable price. But I had to be very careful because the majority of the people, when we first started this, we didn't have our female arousal gels and our female products yet. So the majority of our customers were males. And there was this wisdom, I shouldn't say wisdom, it's actually the opposite. There was this prevailing fear among men that if my partner is using a vibrator, it's in place of me, not in addition to me, which is asinine. It's insane. I always tell people if you want to be the best lover that you can possibly be, give your partner the most and most intense orgasms possible, the largest number of them and the most intense orgasms possible, because your partner will look at you like you're Gandhi. Oh my God, you're so sensitive, you're so caring. But at the same time, she's going to go, this guy has a sense of humor. He's a good provider. I like him. He gives me a lot of orgasms. I'm not letting him go anywhere. So you're really paying it forward, okay? If you are giving your partner a large number of intense orgasms, you are also going to get a large number of intense orgasms. She's like, this guy's going nowhere. I'm making sure he's satisfied. So on one hand, you're going to be looked at as, this great, giving, loving person, but all you're doing is making sure you're going to have a lot of orgasms as well. So I tell a lot of men, don't ever be intimidated by vibrators. Don't ever think this is in place of me. It's in addition to you. And don't be intimidated by it. Leave your ego, check your ego at the door. The whole objective is for your partner to have as many orgasms as possible. And don't worry about how they're achieving them. Just worry that they are achieving them.
Absolutely. 100% agree.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I was curious about the name Promescent. Where did that come from?
It's funny you'd ask because no one would ever know without asking. So the name promescent comes from, I don't know if you're aware of this, but the medical term for an erection is tumescence. That's a Greek word meaning engorged by blood. So promescent comes from prolonged tumescence, hence promescent.
Okay.
Because remember, early on, we didn't have vibrators, we didn't have female arousal gels, we didn't have lubes. That was our only product. So the name promescent evolved from prolonged tumescence, promescent. And then once we started out of the products, the product name for the delay spray became the company tagline because it had such a good reputation and it had such a following that people just thought that was the name of the company. The name of the company is actually Absorption Pharmaceuticals, but no one knows that. Everyone just knows the company is Promescent. And that became the tagline for these products. So it's Promescent lubes, and those are make love smoother. Promescent delay spray, make love longer. Promescent vibrators, make love fun. You know what I mean? Like, so we have these little taglines for each individual product, but the name Promescent, which was initially a delay spray, is kind of the all-encompassing name for the whole product line now.
And is there a need for the product like for the delay spray, would that need to be used every single time, or would there be a time, do you think, where a guy could actually, because he got used to lasting a bit longer, not need it?
It depends on the level of premature ejaculation and a person's awareness of their own bodily functions. I have people that will tell me when I first started using Promescent, I was using 5 sprays, because it's a meter dose spray, so you get the same amount. And then I realized one of the reasons I was prematurely ejaculating because the buildup came so fast, the release came so fast, I wasn't able to even have that feeling of inevitability, like it was coming on, because it would just be so quick and it would happen. Then I realized I only needed 4 sprays and 3 sprays. And then I started really working, doing Kegels and doing all these other exercises because using the product gave me more time to enjoy the sensations and be used to it. And I either wean myself completely opposite and I don't need it anymore, or I use a lot less than I used to because I'm much more involved. So there are certain people that can get away from it completely. There are certain people that use less product. I am happy if almost everyone that used our product eventually didn't even need it anymore. And people go, "Oh my God, you're going to put yourself out of business." No, we're not, because there's billions of people that have this. And like I said, even people in healthy relationships sometimes need a product. We have people, and I laugh when I hear this because I've heard it more than once, that will tell us, if the wife is got to get up early for work the next morning, the kids are at home, I use 1 spray. Then I go from 3 minutes, 7 minutes, we have a great intimacy. But if the kids are with the in-laws, it's a Friday night, and I know neither one of us have to get up early, I use 3 sprays and we go 20. I'm going, oh my God, I start laughing. They literally start titrating the dose to how long they want to last, and that kind of stuff. But it does give you that kind of control. It does give you the option to do that, to tailor it around the particular circumstances of your intimacy that night. Hey, if we got to do a quickie, the kids are in the next room, we both got to get up at 6 a.m. in the morning, we're not going for a marathon session. But if the kids are, at the in-laws and we're, home alone tonight and we can, neither one has to get up early in the morning, let's go for a vigorous workout. We'll get our cardio and our intimacy in this evening, that kind of a thing. So
have a gourmet meal.
yeah, exactly. And one of the things is now that we have these delay sprays, now that we have delay wipes, now that we have lubes and vibrators and female arousal gels, we don't need to be dependent on one product, And what I want to do is help as many people as possible, have people have as positive experience as they can, and so that eventually, I want to be known as a company that helps people. And then more and more people will get a lot more referrals. We'll get a lot more, people referring other customers. We have a lot of that right now. We have something called ZigPoll, where people, after they buy a product, only about 8% of people figure it out, but it gives us a good idea. And we have a lot of people who go referred by a friend, referred by a family member. And back when we only had the spray, the men's delay spray, we never had people say that, because I think people were hesitant because you identified yourself as a premature ejaculator. Go, hey, this is a great product. Go to this website.
Yeah.
The only thing there was delay spray. But now there's lubes and vibrators and female arousal gels. And there's another product we haven't touched on called VitaFlux. This is one we really should mention. It's a nitric oxide supplement. And it has L-carnitine, L-citrulline, L-arginine, zinc, and magnesium. So it increases blood flow. When it has sexual and non-sexual benefits. So when you increase blood flow, you decrease blood pressure, which is good for everybody to have decreased blood pressure. And it increases blood flow, so it's better for erectile function for men. Now, if you're impotent, you're not going to become a raging stallion. It's not like Viagra. But even men, as they age, to gain another 5% of erectile function is a good thing. It increases libido, because when you get more blood flow into the genitals, it increases libido for both men and women. A lot of women will tell you that they have better orgasms when they have enhanced libido and they use VitaFlux. So it has many different functions, which is really, really good. So it's been a great product for us. By the same token, there are non-sexual benefits. Every vein and every artery in our body has an epithelial layer, and it's a sheath that covers the veins and arteries. When you're young, it's very supple, and it allows the absorption of vitamins, minerals, and hormones. And it keeps out bacteria and viruses. As we age and we get in our mid-30s and beyond, it hardens, that epithelial layer hardens. When it hardens, it gets better at keeping bad stuff out, bacteria and viruses. But it also starts keeping good stuff out, which is vitamins, minerals, and hormones. That's why every man and every woman after the age of 35, 37 will tell you every year they gain 0.5% of body fat and they lose 0.5% of lean muscle. It's everybody. And they tell you have to work out twice as hard to stay in half as good a shape. That's because your hormones don't absorb as well and you don't have vitamins and minerals. This reverses that. This softens the epithelial layer. We have hundreds of women that use that product specifically because they were able to regain the ability to naturally moisturize. They didn't have to use a ton of outside lubricant, which they had to use before they used it.
Brilliant.
So it's a great product that helps enhance intimacy too.
So on that note then, Jeff, what is the best way that people can get in touch with you? What's your best contact information?
My personal contact information is jeff.abraham, jeff.abraham at promescent.com, Promescent. Now, for our products and everything, we're the #1 best-selling product on eBay for sexual enhancers. We're in the U.S. in all retail stores. In the United Arab Emirates and Mideast, we're in Boots. But I always tell people, start at promescent.com because there's a lot of blogs, there's a lot of doctor videos, there's a lot of information. So what we want you to do, we want you to buy the right product for the right reason. Then we want you to use it correctly. So start at promescent.com. That will make sure that you're buying the right product and you're using it correctly. And then we don't care where you get it. We're very comfortable if you get it on our website. We have no free shipping. You can get it at Target, Walmart. You can get it at CVS. You can get it at Meijer, Wegmans, HEB. You can get it on Amazon. So our goal is get it where it's most suitable for you. But educate yourself. Make sure you're buying the right product for the right reason and make sure you're using it correctly. And do that at promescent.com. That's where you will get that information.
Excellent. Well, Jeff, it's been a really fascinating conversation. This time's gone nowhere. And I'd love to invite you to come back again and talk about some of your other products and what your experiences have been with those. And thank you so much for sharing so, shall we say, authentically and with humor your interests and your company.
I'm very authentic. I'm not everybody's cup of tea, but the ones who find it go, it's pretty enjoyable, And I have to thank you because this is our lifeblood. When people hear the passion, they hear the story behind it, and they understand our mission. It's so much better than a 15-second ad roll or, you know what I mean? Like a banner ad, because anyone can put anything on there. They don't understand. Our products are made in a class 100 clean room. They're all science-based. We have patents. There's so much nonsense and garbage in the sexual wellness space. It's, shark oil and, deer antler extract. And I mean, some of them I go, what? I go, who's buying that? You shark fin? But people do. So it's nice for us to be able to directly communicate with people and allow people the understanding that, hey, this stuff is science-based and it's legitimate. So
Brilliant.
We thank you for this opportunity.
You're very welcome, and you've been very articulate in the way you've expressed yourself. So thank you for that. And I look forward to having another conversation sometime soon, Jeff.
Just set me up and let me know, and I'll be there.
All right. So I'll just leave the conversation there and just say, as always, that true love starts with opening our hearts. And until next time, goodbye for now.
Thanks for listening to the Hearts Entwined podcast. You can follow Lyn via the Facebook group 2 Hearts Entwined, or search Lyn Smith, inspirational speaker, at LinkedIn, or email lyn@hearts-entwined.com. That's LYN@hearts-entwined.com. Remember, true love starts with opening our hearts.